One of my favorite topics is brains and ketones. This lesson is to talk about our brains and where we get fuel. Our brain cannot make any fuel. We have to haul it in across that blood-brain barrier. And the two fuels that our brain uses are glucose and ketones. As you look at many of the questions that our audiences have had, they want to know, can my brain use ketones? And the answer is absolutely. In fact, your brain prefers to use ketones over glucose. But the ticket to this lesson is you have to have ketones available in order for this equation to start, in order for that fuel to be used. All right, let's get started. A common question. Hey, Dr. Boz, how long does it take to get into ketosis? Another way said is, how long does it take to switch my brain from burning glucose to burning ketones? And when I look at folks in that first week of a ketogenic diet, this is where I lose them in the struggle to get them from a glucose-fueled system to a carbohydrate-fueled system. Sorry, try that again. In that first week of ketosis, this is where I lose patients as they try to transition from fueling their brain on glucose to fueling their brain on ketones. And if they can't get those little motors started in their brain, so many of them will give up. So this is a little way to explain to you how it happens and how to help yourself get from this side of the equation to the other side. So they want to know, does it take weeks? Does it take months? No, the answer is days. But the ticket is you must have those ketones available to get over that blood-brain barrier and to start using ketones for fuel. So, switching your brain from glucose to ketones, we've done a study on this. We took 10 healthy adults, ages 20 to 50, and they were on the standard American diet. They had not had a keto-adapted life and hadn't been supplementing with ketones. And we studied their brains through PET scans. PET scans measure brain activity, and the different colors you'll see on these PET scans reflect how much brain activity is related to the fuel that's going through the scan or the fuel that we've tagged. The blue is a little activity, the green is mild, the yellow is moderate. And when you see red on a PET scan, it means there's very high activity related to the fuel that the tag is associated with. So remember these colors as we go to the next few slides. First, we tagged glucose to measure how much of their brain activity was fueled by glucose. Then we tagged ketones to see how much of their brain activity was fueled by ketones, and we compared the two. So the first brain scans were done on the standard American diet. The second brain scan was done after 4 days of a very high-fat ketogenic diet. In fact, this would be the kind of ketogenic diet that we would have under medical supervision or a prescribed medical ketogenic diet. These are the results. The brain activity fueled by glucose. You'll see that measuring stick over to the side with the different colors. As the scale goes up, so does the intensity or the amount of glucose being used by that section of the brain. On day 1, you see quite a bit of red, which 98% of the brain activity was actually fueled by glucose in this part of the study. Then on day 4 of this really high-fat ketogenic diet, we saw a significant reduction in the amount of areas of the brain using glucose for their fuel. Several places had mild and other places had moderate amounts of brain activity that were using glucose as their fuel. Now let's look at the ketones. So we tagged ketones, used the same color pattern to say how much of the ketones are being used at different areas of the brain at different times. On day 1, pretty much the whole brain was blue. These people were on the standard American diet and there was no ketones being used in their brain, almost zero activity from ketones in their brain on day 1. By day 4, look at the intensity. Look at how much of their brain activity was now being fueled by ketones, all in just 4 days. That is remarkable. Our brains prefer ketones over glucose. Look at these side-by-side comparisons of day 1 for the glucose tagged at the top and the ketones tagged at the lower level. And then we switched them to a high ketogenic diet. By day 4, look at how much of that glucose had reduced and how much of those ketones had been increased as the fuel your brain was using. So what's the punchline? Our brains actually prefer ketones over glucose. But the key is you gotta have ketones available to get over the blood-brain barrier and then get into the mitochondria in your brain to be used as fuel. So don't let glucose put a fog on your brain. And so many of my patients come in with struggles from multiple sclerosis to migraines to concussions, sleep problems, brain injuries, anxiety, or depression, and their brain is mostly fueled by glucose. When you switch it to a brain burning ketones, you can improve a ton of those symptoms. So, the punchline, boost your brain, add some ketones.
Di BINARAGA.NET, kami selalu percaya bahwa setiap orang pasti bisa memiliki tubuh yang ideal dan sehat. Dengan subscribe, like, dan share video ini, Anda turut membantu membangun Indonesia sehat dan kuat. Salam jelas fitness, saya JP.